All right, so our last topic is related to vehicle maintenance and inspection, and ultimately keeping the wheels turning. What you guys never want to have is vehicles parked because they're damaged, or they're, because of maintenance they've broken down, things like that. There's a lot of costs that come into play when you got to deal with lost productivity or renting additional vehicles to make sure you can do your deliveries. So a couple of points we'll talk through here real quick. Understanding maintenance on your vehicles. What we never want to do is over-maintain or under-maintain these assets, because either one of those is going to cost you money. Over-maintaining, is where it may keep you from that larger repair down the road. It may be money that you don't have to spend. Under-maintaining, that one's pretty obvious. If we don't take care of things, eventually they break down, and that can cost you lots of money. Then really, what systems can you use to help you measure use and give you information back related to that use, so that you know how best to maintain your assets. A couple of these solutions, if you are to implement a telematics solution that's tied directly into the vehicle, there's a lot of data that can flow back to you based on that. On the other side of that really is just being able to capture a meaningful vehicle inspection. A lot of information can be provided through that process, and based on the data that's coming back through those systems, you can evaluate whether you've got a high risk, a medium risk, or low risk as it relates to that particular equipment. High risk, you obviously want to be alerted on that quickly, so that you know to get that vehicle off the road and get a repair made to reduce or hopefully eliminate the need for a more costly repair later. And then your low risk, alerts, if a guy, reports on a vehicle inspection that the windshield wipers are, bad or something like that, again, that's not going to hugely impact the driver's ability to do his job, but it's something that you may want to account for based on the season that you're in or about to approach. Preventive maintenance, again, understanding, how do we work through that? Preventive maintenance may be based on a schedule that you have. Here's this vehicle, the manufacturer says, hey, you got to do these things, but the use of that equipment is going to determine whether that schedule is relevant. This again is a scenario where a good telematics solution or a good DVIR report can help you pinpoint where preventive maintenance is necessary, so that it's done at the appropriate time. And ultimately, if you have the systems in place to establish how the equipment's being used, how it's being maintained, then you can look at the trends to determine if you have, issues with driver behavior, if you have issues with your vehicle maintenance, whether that's contracted out because it's leased vehicles or it's your own folks. But ultimately, in that process, you can then set metrics and goals related to making improvements on that. So again, the benchmarks really, start with understanding equipment utilization. How is the equipment being utilized? How often is it being utilized? And then understanding how the maintenance applies to that. And then through that process, calculating out a cost per mile. Obviously, you want to try to lower your cost per mile, but it's hard to do that if you don't know where you're starting. And then utilizing, all the appropriate components to measure that. So not just, what's my fuel cost, what my, other consumable, oil and other products like that, but what are my maintenance costs? What does it cost me when there is a breakdown? Loss of productivity, cost of the repair, and so on. Keep all of those things in mind as you work through that.